que pasa un torrente como vuelo tocororo para todos, manantial de esperanzas, va provocando sonrisas, se hace presente en la casa, bendición de Dios, agua de vida. Un tesoro en la cocina, un tesoro que cuidar, surtidor y manantial refresca y sacia la sed. Para la familia es rostro de amor y sanidad, va regalando alegrías como expresión de unidad. Bendición de Dios, agua de vida, gota a gota nace el riachuelo, a vivir juntos debemos aprender y que no sea de unos pocos privilegio lo que en comunidad hay que tener para toda Cuba.
Agua de vida que sacia la sed.
Un tesoro en la cocina por la gracia de Dios tuve,
Agua de vida que sacia la sed.
que la quiere María, también José.
Agua de vida que sacia la sed.
Para todos los cubanos, qué bueno es.
Agua de vida que sacia la sed.
Para toda Cuba.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Water Drops Live. And I'm Kendall Cox, and I'm here with our co host, Doug. How are you this morning?
Hey, good morning. Doing good. Doing good here.
It's always good to be with you, my friend.
Same.
So, today we've got a special conversation and a special guest and guests via video. And so, we'd like to bring Joni Lukens on to the webinar to share with us. Joni is joining us from Kentucky, and she is a lead instructor for us at our training school, Clean Water U. And she is also the main author on Water All Around the World, our Living Waters for the World full church curriculum. Bienvenida. Joni, how are you?
I'm fine. Muy bien, gracias.
Uh, Good to be with you.
And you both.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we wanted to share a bit with our Living Waters for the World community about Water All Around, this new full church curriculum. And I'm wondering if you could maybe tell us a little bit about why did we go from, we had other vacation Bible schools, which we still have those curriculum, but why a full church curriculum? What was the thinking behind that?
Well, we've heard churches ask for something that's intergenerational. And we're realizing that we don't want to put our children in one boat and the adults in one boat and the youth in another boat. We wanted it to be something that the whole church can experience together. And that's what it does. It has a section for adults and youth that's more mature, I guess you would say. And then, of course, a VBS, as children love to do. So I think it really can connect the whole church. There are some things that both adults and children can participate in together. So we want to engage everybody.
I like that. Learning together across the generations.
Mhm.
And we've certainly found that to be true at our church here in Greenville, Mississippi. And we've been with Living Waters for the World for the long time, but the learning never stops. That communicating out. So here we have a few pictures that we'd love to share with you. At the beginning of the curriculum, there are resources for you to put together a whole church gathering. And you can see here, when we come back from visiting partners in Cuba, we share with our church congregation about what we've learned. And we always have a meal. And so that can be, Cuban food, or if you are partnering in Mexico. But in the curriculum, there are recipes that are kind of an international dinner people can take and tweak. But can you tell us a little bit about the video? There's a little still of the video there.
Well, what I see here is a delicious looking plate of food.
Yeah,
We didn't have photos in our menu section, so we probably should do that.
that's
And
right.
then I see our world map in the next section.
Yeah.
And then I see one of the adults surrounded by children. I
Yeah,
believe it's one of our teams from Hickory, North Carolina. Is that
that's
correct?
right. That's
Surrounded
right.
by some kids. And so some of the children where she worked when they went in the field with her
Yeah,
church.
so there's a little video there that's part of the curriculum that sort of walks maybe a church who's just starting to learn about Living Waters for the World. You see the journey of that church, how they got started, where that path has led them in water partnerships. And I like that approach, because sometimes when you talk about something as big as being water partners together, that's taking on a lot. But if we can break the path down into step by step, and that there's a place for everybody in this ministry, this mission, Not everybody's going to go. Some people are going to pray. Some people are going to give. So tell us a little bit about maybe this picture in the Bible study for youth and adults.
This is one of my favorite stories. There is a Bible study included in the VBS, of course. And in the adult section, there's an hour-long Bible study that the adults can participate in. And each section, each week, or each time the adult group uses that curriculum, they have a different story. This one is a story of a man named Diego, who is there with his little daughter. As it turns out, one of his children, that is actually the grandfather of the little girl. Okay, and he was telling us that one of his children actually died from a waterborne disease many years ago. And he's so delighted that his little girl, his little grandchild, will not have to face that terrible fate. And you can see there she's holding her glass of purified water. So, hello, Diego.
Oh, I love that story. And this is just a way for us to learn about, not just to learn about the world water crisis, which everyone is vulnerable to this. We are seeing it right here where we live in the United States. And with the devastating storms that have come through, but all over the world. But also, how can we respond to that and put our faith into action? Yeah.
It reminds me of Matthew 25 and the call to action that we hear in there. I was thirsty. And now we're trying to respond to that thirst for purified water. Safe water that can't hurt you.
Absolutely. So in the curriculum, we also have some worship resources. Maybe somebody wants to have, a congregation would like to have a clean water Sunday. And so we have a full, some options of an order of worship and some music. Minutes for mission, so that you don't have to recreate the whole thing from scratch. And this picture is of one of our volunteers, John Frost, and he is a pastor up in Pennsylvania. And he shared a sermon with us about their water partnerships in Honduras. And so people would find those resources there as well. Joni, I'm wondering what else you might share about the worship resources, or, when you put those together.
I think that it's a really good kickoff for this season that the whole church is entering into together, to have the first Sunday of that time to be sort of Water Sunday, and use scripture that relates to water, like the story of the Samaritan woman, or there are many others from which we can choose. And then to have a homily, a sermon about water, as John Frost delivered to his church. And then there's a song that was written especially for Living Waters for the World by Carolyn Gillette, that is included in that too, with permission to use it. So there are lots of ways to include the whole church and maybe give them a little appetizer to participate in this whole church curriculum.
Oh, I love that. I wish that every church would do a Clean Water Sunday. It's a great way to learn. Our water team always has a commissioning whenever we go to visit our partners. And we've done Clean Water Sundays, maybe bring in a speaker. We've had visitors, some of our staff from Cuba, when they happen to be up visiting us. And it's always so good to hear right from them whenever we can. So yeah, that's that. And then what's next in the curriculum, Joni?
After the adult study and worship resources, we have a section called Going Deeper.
And a call to action.
And there's a call to action that invites people to be participants in this ministry of clean water. and gives them some resources to do that and some information on what it's going to take to become a water partner to someone somewhere in the world. And so you can see there the call to action as we have done it. I want to say too about the Clean Water Sunday. My church has been in this mission for, let's see, 23 years. 23 years. And so sometimes we forget that there might be new people that don't know very much about Living Waters for the World. They might have heard that bantered back and forth, but they've never really learned what it is. So it bears repeating, every few years to remind the congregation that they're still in this ministry with us. So, yeah.
Absolutely. It's one of the things that I love about Living Waters for the World is that it's not a single person going out and doing anything. We are partners together. We are walking side by side for a very long journey together. And if someone is missing, the journey is not complete. And we need partners in the community where we're working, partners here coming alongside them. And so you got to communicate that pretty regularly to remind your whole congregation beyond the water team. Look at what it is that we are doing together and reminding them of that. Okay, so then there's the going deeper section. And, one of the things that I loved about this part of the curriculum is that there was some intergenerational art activity. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about how that came about.
This is a very large banner done by the children and the adults. And you can see that it has kind of a filmy look. It's done on an organza organza kind of fabric, like a very fine mesh.
Sheer,
On
yeah.
top of, yes, a sheer, like a sheer curtain. Thank you. On top of maybe a piece of newsprint or something, and they paint. And then when they lift the sheer fabric off of that, you have this wonderful banner that's kind of airy. And anyway, that's one of the samples of things that the adults and the children can create together. But the Going Deeper section also has lots and lots of information. If the adults have done their adult study and the children have done the VBS, sometimes they might want to find out more about the world water crisis. And that section includes a lot of information from the World Health Organization and UNICEF and ideas for how they can conserve water in their own church and their own homes. And then the intergenerational art and some centering and reflecting ideas. Because this is a very, what should I say, deep and thoughtful curriculum. It's not a silly VBS. So for that reason, I think it stands alone.
I love that about this curriculum. May we never stop learning. There's always more to learn. We realize that, okay, this is a big issue, the world water crisis, and we're never going to solve it alone. But with God's help and in partnership, which is Living Waters for the World's model, we can all do something to help a community have safe drinking water that will help them to not just survive, but to thrive, and children to grow up and meet their potential, as I've heard you say many, many times at our training, Joni. Okay, then we come to our Vacation Bible School.
The VBS is the biggest section of the full church curriculum. And of course, this is for our little ones to learn some things about the Bible, but not in a vacuum. We live in a real world. And so it tries to connect parts of the scripture to things that are actually happening in our world. And it takes the children to 5 different countries to see how the children there have had to deal with a lack of safe water, and what happens to those children and that community when finally Living Waters for the World sets up a system in their community, and what a difference it makes for them. So it's a fun journey for the children, and we as they're learning about that country, they'll have a craft section that has crafts from that country, some snacks that might be from that country. So it's like a trip around the world, really, including that we have more than 5 countries in which we serve, but we only have 5 days of VBS. So we chose 5, and it's like a passport around the world. It also includes pictures, as you can see, and it has a PowerPoint that can be projected as the story is read to the children. The children get to see the visual images of the actual children that we're speaking of. These aren't made up children. These are real stories from the real field.
Oh, I love that. And, Doug and I get together, of course, on World Water Day, and we share stories from partnerships, and we talk about some of the things that we wish everybody knew about the world water crisis and all of the people who are seeking to make a difference there. And so the Vacation Bible School, I think, is a great way to plant seeds for our young children and also for our adults as well, that, we don't have to be overwhelmed by uh, all that's going on in the world. There is something concrete that we can do to put our faith in action, which is what we're called to do, and called to do together, not
Yes,
as
And
just
and
individuals.
I like that. It's like a model for them to see Christians doing something in the world, loving their neighbors far away as well as near. I also didn't mention there's some great music in this VBS. It's the good old music that we all learned in Bible school. It's singable and it's memorable. So I think you'll love the music.
I think what's amazing too about the VBS for the kids, like you talked about in the 5 different countries they travel to and get to meet the kids, but they get to meet the kids as kids, so it talks about the kids' favorite things, and the kids' favorite things around the world are pretty similar. And so I think the kids are able to relate to another kid in Cuba or a kid in Guatemala. And it makes everything a little bit more real when you know that this kid is pretty similar to you, but has these kind of issues or these kind of lessons that happen in their lives. So I think that's a great experience for the kids to be able to learn about kids kind of like them, just in other countries in the world.
True.
Yeah. So we have a little video, like a collage of photos from our church. And we did the Water All Around the World Vacation Bible School this summer. And so we're going to share a few of those pictures with you. And as I talk to some of the kids who participated, also to the adults who helped, and our water team had just gotten back from Cuba on Sunday, and then the Vacation Bible School started Monday. And so everything was very fresh in our minds. And we were excited to share the stories and be part of the recreation and the snacks and wonderful crafts that are really, really precious. So you'll see a few of the pictures here in the background, the kids learning the Bible story, working together on a craft. There was a little girl there. Her name is Hannah. And I talked to her after the Vacation Bible School because I could see a light that that Hannah had. And I asked her what was her favorite part of the Vacation Bible School. And she said, collecting money for Living Waters for the World. And I said, okay, well, tell me a little more about that. And she said, well, I was learning things that I didn't know about these other places, the things that the kids in Ghana and Cuba and Haiti and Guatemala and Mexico, all the places that we visited that week. And I didn't know that before. I didn't know what they had to do, that there was a time when they didn't have purified water and then a partner worked with them on that. And she said, I could see that there was something that I could do. and she said that she hoped maybe she could go to Cuba one day, which is where our church partners. And so I'm grateful for those seeds. Someone planted seeds in our lives,
Mhm.
and I think it helped to have somebody call those seeds forth, and that we could see that yes, we can. We're here to serve. We're here to be to be together with one another, and it was an awful lot of fun, from recreation to snacks to the music, and my water team really appreciated being able to be a part of water partnerships and to do this with our kids, because there's the future water team at our church. So
Toss.
our pastor was
right.
in charge of
Ooh, good catch.
recreation, of course. So they were playing a little water balloon toss. And there's Hannah. She was emptying her money into a big water jug. And I think that the kids collected, they had these little boxes, and they would put coins in every time that they drank water that week, or any time that their family used water. And then they put that into the jug on the very last day. And I think they collected $300, which is pretty good for a group of kids. Yeah, really makes a difference there.
And Bible school is one of the primary ways that Living Waters for the World attracts congregations who want to do something for the world. So when the children get engaged in the VBS and send their little coins to Living Waters for the World, then often the church gets interested as well, especially if it's done as a full church curriculum where the adults and the youth are studying about water as well. So yes, this has been a real boost for Living Waters for the World in engaging partners.
Yeah, I love that. And, we have now, over 1,140 water partnerships in 28 countries. And there's a lot of work to be done yet.
There still
And
is some unclean water out there.
there's a lot. And we have a sustainable source of purified water in this neighborhood, and maybe the next neighborhood some distance away says, we too need that. And we hear those stories, and we want to be able to answer the call. So the need is indeed great. And so this isn't something that we are only involved in for a single moment. We want to raise our awareness and then also give hope for how we can be part of a solution to resolve what's going on, so that there's clean water flowing for a community for many, many years for God's children there.
Sustainability is a core value for Living Waters for the World. We're not interested in doing a mission that disappears or breaks in the next few months after it's put in that country, in that community. So this is intended to be sustainable. And for that reason, the teams don't just go once, but we continue to go to partner with that community to make sure that it is a sustainable project. Once it has its wheels under it, it can go on its own. But we want that sustainability to be built in.
So I think we have another video to share. We were actually able to, a while ago, meet with the First Presbyterian Church in Fort Worth, Texas. And they're another church that was able to do the VBS for their kids. And we got a chance to sit down with some of the youth, some of the kids that were actually part of the VBS, and hear about their experience, a bit about how they went, how it was for them, what they enjoyed, and that kind of stuff. So we'll take a look at that right now.
Welcome, you all.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Doug and I are so glad to have you with us, and we just want to hear how your VBS was, what you learned, what stood out for you. So I think I'd like to start maybe with Bo. Bo was one of the participants. Bo, how was VBS for you this summer?
It was good. We did energizers, like dances in the morning. Then we got into our groups. I was in the anemones.
I
And then
like that.
we also learned like how to filter water with someone that came in from Africa.
Nice. I like that Energizer thing. I don't dance. I'm a horrible dancer, but having energy in the morning sounds like a good start to the morning.
Andrew and some others do it.
Nice. Cool. And how did you guys learn to filter water? What was the process for filtering water? What's that like?
So we did like a demonstration. Like you get the dirty water and then like you put filters in it, big filters to get out the junk. You start with the big junk, then you go to the medium, small, but you have to still kill off the bacteria. So you have to put it in like this electric place. But he didn't really have the electricity thing, so he just did like a light bulb and switched it out.
That's exactly how it is. In for us in the Living Waters world, we call that filtration, microfiltration, and disinfectant. Those are the 3 exact steps how to filter water. Awesome. Well, it sounds like you learned something. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say was your favorite part, Bo?
Probably the energizers.
I like that. Yeah.
Since we were the oldest group, on the last day, we were the ones that were doing the energizers.
Oh, helping to lead it.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. I really like energizers. Just kind of get your body moving and your heart pumping a bit, get you ready, jazzed for the day. Awesome. I really like that. Thanks for sharing. So Emma and Andrew, I know that you all were helpers for the Vacation Bible School, and also you came back from Cuba right before Vacation Bible School. You had just done a visit with some other youth and young adults. So I'd love to hear a bit of what that was like. Anything you'd like to share about your visit with your partners in Cuba and then the VBS?
Yeah. So for me, it was my second time in Cuba. I first went in 2019 when I was going into my senior year of high school. And so getting to go this summer was really fun because I'd already been and I loved it. So I was really excited to go back. This summer we stayed at the seminary, which had the Living Waters for the World water filter, which last time we didn't get to do that. So it was really cool to be able to see that, and like utilize that water every single day. Like we didn't drink the water out of the tap. We walked down and filled up our water bottles at the spigot, and that was the water we drank. So it was really cool getting to see like the impact that you'll have like on everyone there, especially us. Like we really relied on that. And so it was a really great trip. And then it was really cool coming back from that and almost immediately going into Vacation Bible School, which had a theme that was related to it. And I was actually the person who was kind of, my job was the discovery room. So what Bo was just talking about with the water filters, I helped them with that. So the first day we got to make our own water filter out of like different fabrics and like papers and stuff. And then later on in the week, we had the gentleman from Living Water come in and teach us about the water filters that y'all use. So it was cool seeing it in Cuba and then coming back and getting to learn even more about it with the kids.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think Brian was with you all, a friend of ours
Yes.
who's part of a team there in Texas. And Brian and I went to Liberia together last year.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad he got to come over and talk to you a little bit about the
He was great.
science. Yeah, the
Yeah.
science behind. He was great to travel with as well. Awesome. Okay. Andrew, how about you?
It was my first time at Cuba, but I'd always really wanted to go because my mom went for a while, and I'd met some people there, and they're pretty nice. So it was really exciting and really cool to finally get to Cuba. It was also a lot different than I expected. It was I kind of was more conscientious of water usage because there wasn't as much, um, and I had to walk down for water. So that was interesting. Um, it it was just cool to see that country and then to come back and get to share about it with the kids. Um, Seemed like they kind of understood what was going on, even though they were uh smaller. And yeah, that's cool.
It really does shift your perspective. Something as basic as, we just turn on every tap in our house and clean water comes out of it in our showers. And it's very different in the majority world. Lots and lots of places, there's little or no access to purified water. So it does make you, as you said, it makes you think a bit differently about it because you have to change your habits. And
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad that you all were able to do that and help with VBS. Having helpers is huge. I know, especially when you've got a bunch of groups. So, Anne, as the director of VBS this year, I'd love to hear some of the things that you learned and just share whatever it is you'd like to.
Yeah. So one thing that I always like to do is create vacation Bible schools that are hands-on ways of learning and picking mission themes. So that way we have hands-on creative ways to learn, but also there's that deeper purpose too. And I think the kids really take a lot away when we do have these mission themes. And so this year it was the Living Waters for the World theme. This was my second time to use that curriculum. And so I just love seeing the kids come in, and by the end of the week, they have things that they can go home and share with their families and with their friends. And so that's what we did this year is we challenged them to go and just tell one person about Living Waters for the World. And so they are able to tell about the organization, tell what Living Waters for the World does to just even one person in their lives. And so that helps spread what Living Waters does, but also just how God is working in the world. And so it's fun to see them come in and not really have any idea about something and leave at the end of the week with all of this knowledge, similar to Bo and knowing how a water filtration system works while also having fun with the energizers and with their friends and with the art activities. And so I love seeing just the progression of the kids throughout the week and with the Bible stories that are connected to it. We had amazing storytellers this year, and those kids knew the Bible stories by the end of the week and how that connected to why water is so important for everyone, how water is important for themselves, and how getting clean water to everyone in the world is really important. And so we use the Bible stories. We also use the different the kids stories that the curriculum comes with to learn about real kids from around the world of where Living Waters has really affected their lives. And so I think that helped make it more relational for the kids to actually hear stories about how people are affected by the work that Living Waters is doing and how that's helped their families. And so it was I felt like very kids, they could relate to it. They knew that water was important for themselves, and they knew how easy it is for them to get water themselves. And so then thinking about how that's not easy for everyone and why this is important work. So it was a great week. I felt like we all walked away with more knowledge, but also the greatness of God and what Living Waters is doing. So
Yeah, it sounds like you all had a powerful week of sharing and learning together. And I will say the stories from different countries, that's one of my favorite parts because it's like you get a little visit with a child and you can understand a bit of how yeah, essential water is for all of us. And then you realize that everything gets impacted if you don't have access to safe drinking water that's, you don't have to walk hours to get to. It'll keep you from schooling and playing and, all the things that we want little kids to do, we want parents and grandparents to be able to do as well. So I'm glad for that part of it. Those stories are very, very powerful.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, raise our awareness of the world water crisis and sharing the blessing. So I want to thank you all for having that each one teach one sort of approach of sharing the good news and sharing the work that Living Waters for the World is doing. Yay. Well, I think that Joni's cheeks must be hurting just a little bit. She was smiling as we watched that video because she hadn't seen that video yet. So Joni, I'm wondering, what jumped out at you as you heard that church share about their experience? Can you unmute so we can hear you, please? Thanks.
It's very gratifying to see this in action, to see a church and a church's children using this VBS. So that's great. But what really thrills me is when I see that this curriculum has been a springboard for them. There were some things I heard them say that really aren't in this material, like showing the children about filters. So that apparently the VBS curriculum made somebody think about that, and then they did that in their church. I love it when that happens. That means they've taken ownership of it when they make some little tweaks, make it a little better, make it particular to their audience. So yeah, that was great. Thanks for that.
Oh, I love that as well. And that this is meant to be a springboard. And we learn from one another. I like to think of it as a living curriculum. And when someone takes it and they make it their own and they do something a little bit different, and then they say, hey, this is how we did it, it can improve the curriculum and make it better for the next time. I want to give a shout out to Brian Hayworth, who was their visitor who came over and talked to them about water and filtration. He's at a nearby church to the Fort Worth church, and he took time to go over and visit with them. And I reached out to him and told him, we got to talk to the church, and Bo remembered your lesson about filtration. And that was very gratifying for Brian. And yeah, he could talk about their Living Waters for the World partnerships in Guatemala, and now they've worked in Liberia as well. And just sharing that message that we can all be a part. And I loved what Anne had to say about a curriculum that is connecting to mission. There are plenty of vacation Bible schools out there, and maybe we've been a part of them, where the music is, I don't know, something that we will never sing again. Maybe the activities aren't really connected to the Bible, but this is woven throughout. And I really appreciate that. Doug, I'm wondering what from that video made you smile, our visit with Fort Worth?
I think, like you mentioned, the filters. I was really blown away that he was able to, how many weeks later, remember the filtration process. He had it right. And so I think it actually stuck with him there. And then I loved the fact that they were actually able to visit Matanzas and see that firsthand. I mean, that was pretty incredible. And, we've been there a few times, and so we know exactly what they're talking about, walking from the dorms to the spigot to get water from the system. That's how life is there at the seminary, but that's how life for visitors at seminary as well. So that was really cool that they were able to have that experience and see real world how it actually plays out, how this clean water serves the community. They got to use it as well.
My team was there at the same time that this group of youth and young adults was there. And so we were in the dining hall together, and there are two places there for people to come right near one's inside the dining hall, one's just outside the dining hall. And then there are other purified water spigots around the corner. And to see them waiting in line to fill up their water bottle, just as she said, for the day, just a reminder of, yes, this is how a lot of people live, and what a blessing it is to have access to purified water. One of those spigots was even cool water, which was great in June in Cuba, because we think we know the heat, but it was very hot and humid. But just the struggles. And I'm so glad that they were able to go and to see and to just be with partners. They weren't there, to do anything more than to be present and to learn, sort of a vision visit, so to speak. And I loved seeing all those kids and wondering, wow, I wonder, I know God's at work here. I wonder what this is going to mean for them going forward. Oh, I really liked overlapping with them. I hope one day that we can take a group of younger people to visit Cuba as well. I know some teams have done that, and we've done it before, but it's been a while. It's time to get to that again. So I'm wondering, maybe now would be a good time to surprise Joni just a little bit with a visit that Doug and I got to do a little earlier this week.
Okay.
Okay, so now things being a challenge in Cuba, it's a little tough to have them on live because there might be a blackout and we can't get them on. But we were able to visit with Isaac and his family, who are part of the Vacation Bible School story. That's the family that we visit with when we go to Cuba. You all can see here, I've got some pictures from the curriculum, and we visit with Isaac and his family on one of the days. So maybe we can play that video and we can talk about the visit that we had with them, Doug.
Yeah, for sure. We got a chance to talk. There he is. There's Isaac with his parents. And we got to sit down and talk to him and hear about his favorite part of the day, which is just playing. But he also talked about how his mornings play out, which is he wakes up in the morning and drinks water right away. And we were to ask him where that water comes from. And he told us right in the courtyard, because he lives at the church. His father's the pastor of the church there. And they've got a water system there. And so he got to talk to us about, yeah, he uses water. He got to see himself in this picture. He was all excited, saying, that was me, that's me. And so that was a really special time to be able to share with both Isaac and his parents. And they told us some stories about the system. And I think that one thing that was really amazing that they talked about is this water celebrations that they've had, because they've actually gone through 1 million gallons of clean water to serve the community. They've already done 2 million as well, and they're on their way to get to 3 million. And they told us a bit about how the water system has created community for them, in the sense that it's a safe place and people know they can come there to get clean water. And the pastor mentioned to us that it took him 9 years to get to the first 1 million gallons. I know it took him 3.5 years to get to the second 1 million gallons. And 3 million is going to take about 3 years as well. And so that increase of community and that people understanding that there's clean water there, it's a safe place, has really grown the church and grown the health of the community. So that was a special time.
Oh, I love visiting with that family. Every time we get to see them, they're, just there near Havana, and it's very special. That water system went in I think June of 2012. It's not our partnership. It's Westminster up in Minneapolis. And they mentioned their partnership when we were visiting with Daniel and Anaitza, Isaac's parents. And they talked about having Ed come just before they hit the big round number. And that means a lot when you think about how water gets served in Cuba. I will mention this to people who might not know. In other places, maybe a 5-gallon container is filled up and then that gets dispersed throughout the community. But in Cuba, those 5-gallon containers that maybe we're used to seeing, they're not readily available. So people are coming in maybe with a 1 or 2-gallon container. So to get to 1 million, that's a lot of people coming every single day to get their purified water. And it was wonderful to hear. And I'm reminded of what faithful service that is for that church. The operators who are there, the pastor, his family overseeing that, and people coming through that gate every single morning to get their purified water. And you know, Isaac, I remember when Anaitza was pregnant with him, and I remember thinking, oh, how grateful I was that she had access to purified water during this time. And Isaac has grown up his whole life with seeing people coming to his family's church to get purified water. They are a water church for that community. And to him, that's just everyday stuff, right? This is what we do. We show up and we serve. And I love that he was playing in the background and he was hammering on things. He's a kid. He's 4 years old. And he had also just come from school. So it was about 5:30 or 6 when we were talking to him in the evening. They were going to be getting ready for dinner, but they took a few minutes to visit with us. And I'm so very grateful. And there are partners just like this all over the world. And that's what they do. They wake up, they say, thank you, God, and they say yes to whatever God has in store for them for that day as far as service. So I'm glad that we got to visit with Isaac. And that's what the children in the Vacation Bible School get to do each day. They visit a different child in a different country where a community where Living Waters for the World partners on water. This is not an easy mission to do together. It's a very heavy lift, and yet it unfolds and we figure it out. And when there are additional challenges, there's somebody nearby who assists. And that's the story. It seems a bit of a miracle to see what has transpired over the last 20 years. So always together.
Kendall, I wonder if this is a good time to announce that this VBS curriculum, this full church curriculum, is being translated into Spanish. So I know that a number of our churches, when they return to their community that they've installed a water system, they like to do something like that, to do a VBS with the children there. Just as a way of relating and sharing what we share as Christians, stories from scripture and caring for people all around the world. So this VBS will be available to our US partners to take with them on a returning visit in Spanish. So look for that. Stay tuned.
Absolutely. Our Cuba network staff is assisting us with that. In that translation, we're going to begin with the Vacation Bible School, and they've already sent a few of they started with the Bible stories. And we have someone on staff in Cuba, Yosmel Fernandez, who is he's a professional interpreter in addition to being an in-country technician for us. He was a professor at the University of Havana in linguistics and trained other people on not just translation, but interpretation as well. So language and context together. And so he's working on that for us. And we're very much looking forward to piloting it, seeing, he will check it not just for, it's not just going to be Cuba Spanish, but Spanish for Latin America, a lot of the places where we work, and then we'll be looking to roll that out, hopefully in 2025 for partners to do together. A lot of us do Vacation Bible School with our partners in country, so that'll be an additional tool, an additional resource for us. Joni, I'm wondering what other maybe hopes or dreams you have for this full church curriculum or for the Vacation Bible School that's a part of it. Anything that you'd like to share?
Let me think about that. I'd like to see a church get turned on to a mission. Many churches are now turned on to water as their mission. Mission is like a springboard, again, in that it gives you a focus. So when you are in country, together you have something that you are both focused on. And that makes a relationship. It's not stilted. It's something, let's get together and solve this problem. And I think this VBS can engage more churches in the United States that want to do that. They don't want to do mission where they just go and don't mix with the people. They just maybe build a building, always speaking to their cohorts in English. This is a way to really incorporate togetherness in the mission field. And I think a lot of churches would like that, to have a, what should I say, of course they'll have a significant and meaningful relationship, but then it's over. This one is not. That relationship is sustained, just as the water system is sustained over a period of years. My partnership has lasted for 24 years. So 23 years, working on 24. Now that's just our first partner. And that was such a good relationship that we were eager to do it again. And we've done it again and again, about 18 or 20 times. So that's what I hope, that this VBS will encourage partners like that who want to get into it deeply in a meaningful way. How about you?
Well, earlier you mentioned Matthew 25, and I think that scripture, Matthew 25, 30, verses 31 to 46, and we were at a Matthew 25, like a plenary session at a conference just this past Saturday, and we were talking about how surprising it was to people to hear, well, how was it that I served you? And Christ's word that whenever you did this for someone, you were doing it for me. And that reminder that those were Christ's last words to us today, and then as well to everyone as he was heading into Jerusalem. This is an important reminder. Pay attention. This is what I want you to do. And that idea of going deeper, this is not something that we do for a partner and then leave. No, this is very important that this comes out of a relationship in which, we've spoken of this before. Yes, water is transformed, and so are partners. And we're better because we're together. So that idea of going deeper in a partnership, praying with them, walking around the neighborhood, learning what keeps them up at night and what their hopes and dreams are, and sharing ours as well. This is really the partnership that we're called to. So those are my dreams for any church. It's part of being I think a core part of our being, our reason for existing, not just the church within the walls, but most especially the church outside the four walls. Doug, what would you add to this part of the discussion?
I think what Joni mentioned earlier about this being an all church curriculum is it's a perfect stepping stone to get involved in this. You know, I don't want to say all churches, but most churches do a VBS of some sort. So you need to have something next year and the following year, and you know, and so this is something that's created and exists, and it's well done. It's going to be an enjoyable time for everyone. But then it does allow you to take those next steps. It gives you the information, it gives you the tools to actually make an impact past that. And I think that's what's so amazing about this. And I think Joni and all of us are kind of living examples of that. You know, I've been with Living Waters now for 13 years. You know, you never really thought you were going to be in this for 13, 15, 20 years, you know, but you just kind of started and you keep going, you keep going, and you keep going. And then 13 years later, you're here. And so that's what we kind of invite everyone is you're going to do a VBS, you know, let's give this a try. Going to be enjoyable, and then see where God leads us from there with clean water and helping our neighbors. So yeah, we want to invite you just to give it a try.
That's a great point, Doug. Thank you for bringing that up. And I don't know about other churches, but we have traditionally done our Vacation Bible School with other nearby churches. We kind of come together and share resources and create a bigger team. Okay, you handle this and we'll be the site. And if you all will help with recreation, and we come together and do it. And I think that's a great way to do Vacation Bible School. Or maybe you're just doing it on your own and opening it up to all the kids in the community. But this is a great way to learn together and make a difference at the same time. So that's a great point, Doug. We're very, very grateful for, as we like to say of Joni, but I'll also say it of you, Doug, that long obedience in the same direction, and the faithfulness of our partners, all of our volunteers everywhere. And I think that really shows up in this curriculum as well. And so it's good news to share, definitely.
And Kendall, I'm reminded of some words that Will Howie spoke. Will Howie was our founder many years ago. And on our first video that we created, Will says, "This is a tangible way to care for your neighbors." And isn't that important? You know, we read, love your neighbor as yourself. We want to love our neighbor, but how? With what? This is a tangible way to do that. And it's straightforward and it's so doable. So I'm grateful to Will for putting that seed in our minds. It's a tangible way to love your neighbor.
That's a great note to end on. Shout out to Will Howie. I'll be sure to tell him that we were talking about him this morning when I visit with him next. Joni, thank you for being with us, and thank you for being such a mentor to so many. And we're very, very grateful for all the wisdom and the expertise that you have shared with Living Waters for the World all of these years.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, what a gift it has been to me to be your partners. Thank you.
So I think that we have a link in our Facebook page to more information about Water All Around the World, if you'd like to give that a look. I know a lot of churches, Christian educators are looking at this time for curricula for the summer of 2025. Give that a look, and let us know what questions you have. And we would love to be a part of your Vacation Bible School, also your the Bible studies that you are doing, maybe a full church gathering, so that we can learn more together and see how we can respond to God's call to serve purified water to all of God's children as God intended. I want to thank everybody for being with us, and we'll be back next month with another Water Drops Live.
Thanks, Al. See you later.
Good to be with you all.
Thank you.